Hello there, and welcome to week 37 of the FUT Weekly podcast. The inmates are running the asylum this week. Our leader, Ben, is away on some mysterious mission, and it's been left to myself and two guests this week to run the content during Serie A TOTS, which I think has been a lot better than people expected. So I'm going to throw to our first guest, who always comes on when Ben isn't around, and it's Nepenthez. How are you doing?
Yeah, I made a light-hearted joke about how he doesn't like me, so when I'm on, he's not, but it's becoming way too much of a coincidence now to be a joke. So yeah, good to be here though.
I mean, I don't want to play into it. I think the reality is it's just I get to choose who the guests are, so it's more just favoritism on my part, really. But yes, and our second guest, I mean, isn't really a guest. He's a part of the furniture around here. It is FUT legend AirJapes. How are you doing?
Pretty well. Happy to be back on. I can't say I'm as enthusiastic about Serie A team of the season, but it's the one every year we got to get through. Sorry to all the all the Serie A fans. Yeah, it's weird.
It's a weird week, isn't it? It's the right at the end of the run of TOTS, just before Ultimate TOTS. It's kind of like they have to try and make it good to get everybody interested. And we have got some good cards this week. And so I think we'll go straight in to pound for pound powerhouse. But first off, Nepenthez, as the guest, you get to choose last week's winner. There were 4 options. And, you may need to look at some of these because Miguel was Tom's suggestion. Then you've got DJ had 𝘵𝗍𝗄𝗏, the most packed 94 rated player in the history of the game. Japes went for 𝘬𝘃𝗲𝗏, the 93 rated DM. And Ben went for the 𝘬𝘯𝗵𝗀𝗀𝗀. So of those 4, who's your pound for pound powerhouse?
Yeah, I don't really need to look at them. There was a clear favourite in my mind until you said the last one, but as 𝘵𝗀𝗀𝗀, for a free card for just playing the game, not even having to win, he's outrageous and very good in game and has all of the good properties that make a player good in this game. So I think him, without any shadow of a doubt, for free or for time, you can't get much better than that, can you?
You can't, and he goes into that double red Champions Corner evolution. You can put him through the first one and the second one to get him even better, even though it kind of boosts passing and dribbling, which maybe aren't that important if you're playing him at right back or centre back, but an incredible card for essentially free. Obviously, there is another red that we may need to talk about that was given out in that set of rewards last week, but we'll move on to this week's pound for pound powerhouse, and we'll start off with a listener suggestion. This is from J. Dickinson, and he said, Objective Pedro Goncalves. Using him as either a CM that pushes to the wing or starts on the wing and moves inside to a CM spot for finesses, and he's been quality. Finesses come off clean, dribbling is silky smooth, and with incisive pass and other playstyles, he's a great half-space player. Best of all, he was free except for your time. And yeah, it's a really good card. He's a player who kind of has been set up to have really good evolution paths throughout the year. His 85 inform was one of those where it had like 3 really high face card stats. And so as a free card with plus chemistry, with 90s in all of the attacking stats, and then 82 defending and 80 physical, 5-star skill moves, it is a really, really tasty card for free. It's a great suggestion. Nepenthez, can you beat it? Who's your pound for pound powerhouse?
My pound for pound powerhouse this week is going to be somebody who wasn't an obvious one until Atalanta did the unexpected, and that is the Ederson Showdown card. I completed him on that off chance because he looked half decent and he was very good value because EA didn't expect him to get the upgrade. And now that he's got the upgrade, he has first touch plus, intercept plus, long ball pass plus, along with a whole host of incredible playstyles. He is, I believe, 5-star, 4-star, and then just has like elite dribbling, elite passing, elite physicals, good shooting, very good pace, and very good defending. And you can play him anywhere. You want to play him at DM, centre mid, on the wing, even up front. Like he's got a little bit of everything. And he was very cheap, so I like him a lot.
Yeah, for a player with only 8 playstyles, if you add up his normal playstyles and playstyle pluses, he's got such a good collection of them. considering what else you could add in there. I mean, first touch plus, intercept plus, and long ball plus is brilliant for that midfield spot. And then that Trash Panda just hiding in there in midfield is very nice indeed. I obviously didn't complete him and went for Hoffman instead because there was no chance Bayer Leverkusen were going to lose their first game of the season. I'm going to go to Japes now, and I wonder if you're going to go for a Showdown player too, or are you going elsewhere?
I would consider a Showdown player here. I did Ederson too. He is pretty fun. I quite like him. But for me, it's that flashback Etienne Capoue, and it's not even close. Best DM in the game. When they came out with this card, I could not believe. I was like, they did it. They finally did it. They gave someone intercept plus, anticipate plus, and press plus. And for a midfielder in this game with medium high work rates and his base stats across the board, he's absolutely insane. He plays way above his stats feeling anyway, because he might be like base lengthy, or at least mostly lengthy. Like, he plays really, really big. He's like, for 90K or 70K, whatever that, like, the SBC was easy, and you've got French links for La Liga. It's not even close. He's so good.
And that club link to Sorloth as well, which I know a lot of people were completing.
Yeah, Sorloth is a bum.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he was actually that good. But yeah, that Capoue looks pretty mad. How have you found his passing, just out of interest? Because is it good, yeah?
Well, I used an engine on him, so he ends up with 99 short pass, 97 long pass, and 96 vision. And the one like glaring hole the card has is he doesn't have pinged, like any form of pinged. The flip of that is he does have tiki-taka and long ball, and tiki-taka base is pretty good and underappreciated. So his passing for me is entirely serviceable, bordering on quite decent.
Very nice. Well, I'm going to go for a French midfielder as well. I'm going to go for a Serie A TOTS player, and it's going to be Adrien Rabiot, who is currently at the bottom of his price range at 40,000 coins for a 92 rated midfielder. He can play centre mid, CDM, and left mid. But for me, he is the perfect kind of defensively minded player that you could play more as a box-to-box. But with a shadow, he's got 96 pace, pretty much maxed out defending stats, incredible physicality. His passing is base 90 plus on vision, short pass, and long pass. Really good dribbling for a 6'3" player, 4-star, 4-star. And then those play styles of Anticipate Plus and Press Proven Plus are brilliant in midfield. He does have Aerial Plus, which is good for when you're going into the box, or especially if you're playing with against somebody who likes to toss it up to a big man. He's really good at dropping back from that midfield spot and winning the header against an attacker. But he's also got base dead ball, which I think is an important playstyle to have somewhere in your team. He's got long ball pass, incisive pass, first touch, technical, intercept, and power header. It's a brilliant card for 40k. Again, French, super easy to link. And I can't quite understand how he is so cheap. But it's been an interesting week for kind of budget players, because that bottom end of Serie A has been kind of floor price, really. Again, we've had another situation with price ranges where at least now we're on Monday now, we're 3 days in. The price ranges need to be adjusted. You've got Pellegrini's at base, Rabiot's at base, Timber in the mixed teams at base, Vlahovic, like Bremer's at base. It's pretty like mad across the board. But I think there's definitely some value to be had here. And Nep, it kind of feels like they juiced some of those top players in Serie A. I think a lot of people were going to take the week off maybe in a build-up to Ultimate Team of the Season, but some of those top players look really, really good.
Yeah, there's some nice ones. Even in the mixed team of the season, like Icardi with 5-star, 5-star, Aerial Plus and Finesse Shot Plus is crazy. Jordi Alba's like real good. Urian Timber's really, really good. I think Robbie's really good. I think, I've been saying this on stream a whole bunch, and like we can all draw conclusions as to why, but we'll never really know. But it just feels like we're already at silly season.
Yeah.
And I don't think they know how to handle it unless they've got like the only thing I can assume is that we're going to get a Euros game mode, but it would be the first time we've ever got a dedicated one in Ultimate Team. So if we're not getting Euros game mode, I don't know if they know where to go with the game. because it's just everybody's already got insane teams. And because of the really good Evos that we've had through Team of the Season, for Team of the Season, even your really good players, you've been able to boost up a little bit more. And so if they don't give you insane cards, what's the point? And even if they do, what's the point? And unless you're just getting like a favorite for your team, or you're a fan of one of these Serie A guys, and then they've just got to make them usable. So yeah, they are very, very, very good.
Yeah, I wonder if it's kind of, we're at that point that we maybe hit a little earlier last season where the power curve essentially couldn't, like, it stopped, and then it was just about adding more variety in. The problem is you can only hold at that space for so long before people just kind of turn off a little bit, because some of these, like, I look at that Giroud, he's 650k and has got crazy play styles, crazy stats, and even the top end of Serie A, there's no like 6 million coin player, which there has been in the previous weeks. Now that may be due to the league and it's not quite as popular, but it was something we might talk about a little later on about where do we go after Ultimate Team of the Season, because usually this is the final week before silly season starts. But I think you're right. There's so little headroom now. I don't know where we go from here. You mentioned that the minor leagues or the mixed league Team 5 has come out, and it included that ridiculous Neymar card that's sitting at a cool 13 million coins. You've got Icardi in there and Koulibaly, Wendell, Timber, Stefan, 𝘚cie, Loureiro da Costa, and Puertas. A weird thing, just a little kind of annoys me a little bit, is that Icardi, Koulibaly, Wendell, and Timber, who are from the most used leagues, you'd argue, of this mixed leagues, all have plus chemistry to help them out. But then you go to like Stefan, 𝘚cie, Puertas, who are all in like the real minor leagues, and they don't have the plus chemistry. And it kind of just feels a little bit like, can we not just get like, is anyone upset if they've all got plus chemistry? But like you mentioned, that 𝘵𝑠's in there. I know a lot of people did his Future Stars upgrade. But just something on the minor leagues that I kind of saw in EA's post and just wanted to kind of highlight is that when we get Ultimate TOTS next week, obviously the 5th minor league squad is going to be in packs until Sunday. And then on the Sunday, we get Ultimate Mixed comes into packs. And so that will be where Messi and Ronaldo and those top level mixed league players, I imagine Neymar will just stay in packs for the next week. That'll be when it is. So if you are saving packs for Ultimate Team of the Season, might be worth holding on to some of those big ones until Sunday when the Ultimate Mixed comes in. But moving on quickly to SBCs, we've had quite a lot of SBCs released. And I'm going to talk about the icons first, because I think it's maybe a sign of where EA's feeling of where the game is different to the players. We've had Stoichkov's FUT Birthday and Pirlo's FUT Birthday SBCs have both been released recently. And at that price, I don't really know what they're thinking. Like, do either of them appeal to you at all, Japes?
No.
It is quite simple, because I don't know who they would replace in our squads.
There needs to be like an icon Evo. And then I'd be maybe interested again. But the icons feel, it's not that the top ones can't compete anymore, but like a lot of like your Pirlo and Stoichkov, like, are you really going to choose them over a lot of these Team of the Season cards that are out right now that you can get for like free? Probably not.
Yeah, and I think Nep as well, just in terms of the fodder that you have to put in, there's a much better place to put that fodder, right, if you want to get good cards.
Yep. Yeah, the exchange has been delightful for anybody that's dared delve into it. You know, you can, like, the amount of cards that you'd have to put in for that new Pirlo. And don't get me wrong, he'd be grand in game, he'd be good in game, but just not at that price. When you could go and get, 50 or 60 exchange packs instead, you will pack Team of the Seasons better than him from that same like turnout, and you'll fill your club up with fodder, and you'll be able to do any other SBC that's like more affordable. And I couldn't understand why. I don't mind them releasing Pirlo. It would be good to have an Evo hand in hand with it, like Jape suggests there, to bring them at least into like the 3 playstyle plus range or whatever, but just make him a price where people are like, you know what? I've just kind of got to do it. Not a price where it's like, yeah, that's a hard pass.
Yeah, I totally agree. And talking of other cheaper SBCs, we'll come on to those just after this break. Hello and welcome back. We are on the subject of SBCs released in the past week, and at the back end of La Liga, we had some big SBCs. Obviously, Japes has already extolled the virtues of Etienne Capoue, and we've both sullied the name of Sorloth, who was, I think, a player that everyone was waiting for, but maybe slightly flattered to deceive. But we had a few other ones in and around those in 𝘭𝘪𝘤𝘀𝘁, which is apparently how you say it, not on a battle, and 𝘭𝘪𝘤𝘀𝘁, who has been one of those cards again throughout the year that's been up at the top of the lists for evolutions. Nep, did either of these kind of pique your interest? I've come up against that on a 𝘵𝘂 a few times, and she's been pretty good, but they're more of like a squad building option, right?
I actually don't mind the 𝘭𝑪𝘤. I think he looks very, very good. He's very affordable as well. And Battle as well or 𝘵𝘂. She's obviously a good card. And to my knowledge, even though it's not a Team of the Year card, it's the first Team of the Year SBC we've ever had, because it is basically a Team of the Year card, isn't it? Yeah. And so it was interesting that they chose her. But I just once again think, like, when you compare her to 𝘵𝑆𝑏𝑐𝗫𝗀𝘁 and the fact that you can get him up 2 more in Evos, she's just way too expensive for me personally. But 𝘭𝑪𝘤, I think, is a very good price and a very good card. And he really does offer some squad building opportunities. Atletico Madrid have got a lot of great players. Argentina have got a lot of great players. And he fits the bill for both of those.
Yeah, definitely. And at 5-star, 4-star, he's got a lot of like very nice options. I would argue maybe his playstyles are a little lacking, his playstyle pluses. He's got that flair plus, but doesn't have the finesse to go along with it, which is something we'll definitely be talking about in the gameplay pod later
back,
on. Trivella's back, but I don't know how necessary Trivella Plus is in how good they are. I think you can get away with base Trivella, but a good player nonetheless. As you say, only 100,000 coins in terms of a fodder cost. And then for Serie A and the NWSL, we've had Trinity Rodman, Renato Sanchez flashback, and Mkhitaryan have all been released. I think that Renato Sanchez is another kind of fan favorite player, and he just looks incredibly good. He's somebody I completed fairly quickly and plays like most other Renato Sanchez cards you've used in the past. But one of those that's kind of a little bit more difficult to link. Obviously, Portuguese is nice if you've got Portuguese players in your squad, but Roma don't have too many incredible players unless you're going to get Chris Smalling in there, who is a player that we've enjoyed in the past. And then obviously if you are lucky enough to get hold of that Dybala team of the season that looks unreal, but is sat at 2 million coins, there are some nice links there. But again, another fan favorite SBC. But I just want to quickly cover the Champions League final showdown SBC. We got Joselu from Real Madrid and Bino Gittens.
Yeah, what?
From Borussia Dortmund. And it kind of felt like they were just avoiding players who had team of the season cards, because like surely they could have chosen someone other than Bino Gittens at that point. I think that Joselu looks pretty tasty though, Japes.
Yeah, I'm obviously going to do him. He fits my profile of what I like a striker to be in this game. So I will absolutely be completing that SBC. Hopefully, and if he gets a boost, he should be crazy. I use Boniface as my primary striker now because I'm obsessed with press proven as a playstyle. And for like Joselu has base press proven, so like he should theoretically be okay there. I think the big consideration is like how good is first touch plus gonna be there, but like he's a big guy, he should play big, he's got nice stats, he's got great links. So I mean, I think Madrid are also pretty heavy favorites, so it feels like a worthwhile SBC to complete.
Yeah, for sure. And weirdly good defending stats. If you imagine that he does get that +2, he's going to have like high 80s interceptions and mid 80s defensive awareness, which is kind of odd for a striker, but especially with how good strikers seem at defending from the front, might be a really good option to have up there. That Wijnaldum, I think, missed the mark a little bit. There's so many tricky wingers that are better than him. But the prices were definitely reasonable. And on the subject of showdowns, we did have the Women's Champions League final showdown SBCs, where we had 𝘵𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗀𝘀 and Jennifer Marochan from Lyon. And I know, Japes, you were using that Marochan card.
She's awesome. I did Paredes as well. Like, both of them are in my starting 11, which is fun. But that Marochan card is so underappreciated. Like, she's really, really fun. And I found myself being like, I'm going to be happy however this turns out, because I really, really like both of those SBC choices that we got.
Yeah, and as it turned out, Barcelona did win 2-0 with 2 goals in the second half. And 𝘵𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗀𝘀 got her upgrade very, very quickly. I think it happened the same night. And the upgrade, Nep, I think, took a few people by surprise.
Yeah. Instead of just a blanket +2, she got 2 dribbling and shooting and defending, but then 3 pace, 3 physical, and 4 passing, which was it's mad. So if you think if 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘦, should he even get upgraded? If he gets like 3s and 4s in some categories as well, he is going to be outrageous.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, I'm running that Paredes, but I'm moving her into midfield because she's just got fantastic stats for midfield and is just a little bit on the short side defensively. But I mean, like, just a crazy 95 rated centre back for 190,000 coins. I think some of these showdowns, especially that 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘀, definitely worth completing. It's so easy to get a hold of fodder at the moment that I think you'd feel like you missed out if you didn't get them. But in terms of missing out, everyone is kind of coming towards the end now of the season pass. There is probably about 35 of the 40 levels worth of experience available to brand new players to the game right now. We're probably going to be able to finish it from scratch by the end of the season. And 𝘭𝑪𝘂𝘀 was asking who people are taking for level 40. The options obviously are Carlos Alberto's 2-foot birthday icons. And if you wanted the pack, it's an 85 by 20 players pack. Which of those are you erring on the side of, Nep?
I will be taking the pack for sure. I think as good as Carlos Alberto is, he is just another small cog in a large wheel of incredible players. And he also, I presume, because he's in the season pass, was incredibly common in the icon pick that came out yesterday. And so I think I will be able to get him if I really wanted him. Whereas the 85 by 20, even if you don't get like a quote unquote usable player, what you can do with that fodder will get you pretty much whoever you want.
Exchange.
Exactly. Yeah. and it is like, like I talk about it so much on stream that just go to the exchange. And it is quite boring because like effectively what EA have done is they've just made something in the menus way, way, way better than everything else. And so it just feels silly to not use it. Yeah, you do have to grind, yeah. But I mean, you have to grind to get to level 40 anyway, right? Like
with the exchange, I finally did the menu grind for La Liga because I really wanted to pack Bonmati, which I did not pack, but I packed Griezmann and then I got Vinny Jr. out of Squad Battles rewards. So La Liga was good to me. I eventually was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do any more of this.
Yeah.
It's such it's such a commitment to just go. I feels like you just have to, eventually you will get a big card. It just feels like it's going to take an insane amount of time. Sometimes it just feels like it's never ending. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there you go. And then I find myself at the end of it, I'm like, how long is this card going to stay in my team? How worth it was it? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And for me, kills a lot of stream hours and makes a lot of video content to grind it. Hence the reason why I do it so much. But like something I've been asking for years, and they have done a lot better this year and last year as well compared to any other year. But it's just having something like that in gameplay. Like, how cool would that be? Where you could hit like a 51 player pack every like 5th win. You know, it'd be, like, you're still going to the store to open the pack. EA are still getting what they want, which is sending you to that, you know, the money pit. So just let us enjoy the game through gameplay as well as the menus.
Yeah, and I on that topic, I kind of wanted to just talk about Champs rewards, which obviously after the Liga TOTS debacle, kind of, I think it was brought a bit more into the spotlight, kind of how bad red rewards have been. And I wanted to just have a quick look at my Reds, having played to 14 wins every weekend in Champs and done some squad battles and been in Elite Division. My best red in terms of rating was Ederson, and in terms of player was probably Nkunku from like Premier League TOTS. And there's very little else. In fact, my best red now is probably that 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃 from last week. And I don't know how they fix that. Like, it is putting like specific players like that 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃 in for X number of wins the way that they go about fixing that, or have you got a better option?
Let me just real quick, because my red rewards have been stupid, generally speaking. I have 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃𝗃 red that I got from Ligue 1. I have Salah red that I got from Premier League, but Salah doesn't even make my bench, which maybe he could, but I just don't like that card. I got Boniface red, I got Sergio Ramos red, and then I feel like I definitely got Alisson. I think I got Donnarumma, I got Alisson, Royce, the 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃𝗃. So I feel my reds have been like kind of all right for the most part. Yeah, my reds have been good. I think the addition of the 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃 and the 𝘵𝘃𝗃𝗁 to me, I don't like that they don't give players more of an option. What I would have liked to have seen is more like you have the 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃 and 𝘵𝘃𝗁𝗃 that are from rewards, and people can pick which one they want first, and then if you get to the other one, then you get the other one too. But like if you're a hardcore, you know, past and present Chelsea 𝘵𝘃𝗁𝗃 truther, right? That's great. You were able to like just play and pick him up. But it had been reversed, and you were, you know, and 𝘵𝘃𝗁𝗃 was in the 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃 spot, and you had to get a certain number of wins to do that. I feel like that becomes like a little tricky, which is where I'm like, just let people pick which one first they want, and then just give them the other, like the one that they didn't pick after. I feel like it just makes it a little, I don't know, friendlier.
Yeah, I definitely think not barring a player behind like an achievement like that is probably a good idea. I think giving people the ability to choose which one of those players and making them of kind of equivalent ability. You'll obviously have most people pick whoever's deemed the most meta player, but you know, as you said, if you're desperate for that 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃𝗃 and you're not a 13-win player, you're not going to get a chance to use him. Do you think a minimum rating is maybe the answer to improve Reds, Nep? I'm going to leave Japes alone because clearly he's being put on a red list by EA.
Well, my Reds have actually been half decent.
It's just me then. All right, brilliant.
Well, I don't want to say I got lucky per se, but you know, I did the French league when it was giving out all the big cards, and so I got Dembele and 𝘳𝑒mery. But outside of that, I obviously have 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 and 𝘵𝘃𝗁𝗃. I got Rodri from Elite Rivals, which was awesome. I got Rudiger and Loftus-Cheek from Champs, and so like I haven't got like necessarily the elitist of players, but I've been nice somewhat. But I really like the 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃𝗃 and the 𝘵𝘃𝗁𝗃 because you kind of know what you're playing for. Like, and you do to a degree in Champs as well. You know you're getting a player pick of those cards, but instead of like, I like the idea of what Jape suggested, like you pick which one you want first, but why not just have like 5 players available for that first pick? And so instead of just, you know, the 𝘵𝘃𝗁𝗃𝗃, have 5 options, and now all of a sudden you get to choose which one of the 5 best suits your team. Maybe one fits into an EVA or whatever, and then the same for 𝘵𝘃𝗀𝗃𝗃. Have one from each of the top 5 leagues, where it's like, yeah, okay, you've got a 𝘵𝘃𝗲, or I couldn't even begin to imagine who they could put in there, and you get the choice because it makes you feel more in control. But for the Reds, the whole like unintended rewards really, really rubbed me up the wrong way, because it just means that they intend for us to get nothing out of champs rewards. And that's all well and good if you're hitting 9 or 11 wins and maybe even 14 wins. If you're hitting like rank 1 or rank 2, you deserve one of the best cards from that set of Reds because you are one of the best players. And so I think you should have like a player pick, maybe that like has every single player available as one option, and that's like all you get.
So do you mean kind of like a kind of 23-man or woman player pick where you just choose whoever you want,
and that's it? But that's the only and then you still get the standard packs and coins and stuff. But in terms of the red picks, you just get to pick one. Because I guarantee you, if you ask the people that get rank 1 every week, would they trade everything they've got for anyone that they wanted from each 5 team of the weeks? They just would. And would that mean that everyone's running around with 𝘵𝘃𝗃𝗍s and all of the best players? Of course it would. But again, who cares? It's not if they have red 𝘵𝘃𝗃𝗍, it's going to be different to them having Sorloth. They're still going to destroy everyone they come up against.
Yeah, I would absolutely I would say like rank 1 or 2 most weeks, and I would definitely like for the Premier League. Like getting Salah was great, but is that like really the card that I would like to play with from the Premier League? Like absolutely not for me. Like absolutely not. And I just...
What would you go for? Like a Van Dijk or something?
Like Van Dijk, I would have been probably pretty interested in De Bruyne or Haaland, like just for the way that I play. Like those... for my squad too, or like players that I like, Foden would have been more interesting to me, or Rice. Like I don't know. Like Salah's fine. I just never get on with that card, and I'm not like a massive, Liverpool truther. Or, I don't know. But like Van Dijk would obviously be nuts. That would be a player that I'd be excited. Like I would have been stoked if I packed him from rewards. And I think especially when it comes to attacking players, like I switch my players around all the time now. Like I'm constantly, I would say for the most part, using different ones. And like for Bundesliga, like, man, I was super pumped to either get like a 𝘬𝘳𝘬𝘦 or 𝘭𝘪𝘬𝘬𝘦. Didn't happen. Like I got Royce, which is like fine, but that wasn't the card that I was, super excited about. If at minimum it starts with like 1 of 4, 1 of 5 as you like go up each win. So if you get 20 wins, maybe you get a 1 of 20 that you get to pick. You know what I mean? Something like that. Where for like each win, it feels like you're giving yourself another option.
Because in the past, obviously, for those top levels of champs, you've got 11 team of the season player packs. And so it was like limited as to the worst player you could get. Usually it was an 18 player squad. And so the worst you could get is the kind of 7th worst player. And that was usually still pretty good. But especially with the change to the team of the season packs, where it's now just 3 players, regardless of kind of where you finish, you're only ever going to get 3 players in a pack. I mean, I see so few good players come out of them that it's, as you say, Nep, I think trading in the rewards that you get, or the majority of the rewards that you get, for just the chance at a player that would get into your team, or just like the ability to pick a player that would get into your team, I think is definitely along the right path. I'm not sure about picking all of them, because I think if you're, I know what you're saying, if you're a 20-win player, it doesn't really matter who you're using, but I wonder how quickly people would turn off if they were able to just get the best players throughout team of the season. You just have the 7 best players from each of the team of the seasons. But I definitely think that's something that needs to be changed. I mean, there is the ability to trade in your
That's
Reds
terrible, though.
at the moment.
That should be like, if you're going to trade it in, it should be like a 94 plus guaranteed or something like that.
Yeah, 100%. It's awful.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, I for anybody who saw Nep's 6 p.m. content when that first came out, I think you just thought it was team of the seasons that you needed to put.
And I was gassed about that. I was like, just 11. I was like, my whole chat was like, oh, wait till he sees it, wait till he sees it. And I looked at it, I was like, what did they see that I don't? This looks brilliant. 11 team of the seasons for like a team of the season red player pick. I'm like, I've got hundreds of team of the seasons to put in here. Then it like slowly but surely clicked, and I was like, okay, 11 reds. And listen, you can get 2 reds from like squad battles for like silver 2 or whatever, right? You can get the reds. But as Jape says, like, you know, a 94 plus would be good, because I like somebody on like video the other day for me, he literally submitted 11 reds into it, and there were some good cards in there, and he got trash back. Like it was just never worth it. And I don't know who at EA were like, this is going to be great. People are going to love this.
I feel like it was a mistake. I think they sort of just like left it, but I feel like realistically, it was probably meant to be like you get a minimum back type thing. I feel like it had to be. It had to be. There's no other way that makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of went hand in hand with the change to squad battles rewards, which they doubled the number of reds that you got from squad battles rewards, which I wasn't really picked up on, because who's playing squad battles in May? But if you are, you're now getting double the
Japes.
double the reds. And so maybe that was their attempt to try and fix it. But yeah, I mean, it's only there for another 11 days. So, I mean, get them in quickly while you can, I suppose, or just put them all in the exchange, or like do an SBC of a player that you actually like. However, because I am in charge of this podcast, we're going to devote an entire section to talking about evolutions, and we're going to do that just after this break.
Hello, listeners. A quick reminder that this podcast is made possible through the generosity of supporters out there. And actually, they aren't just doing it out of the kindness of their heart, because you get a whole extra podcast every single week as a supporter. And you can sign up for a 7-day free trial right now over on Patreon. And after that, it's just £3 a month to continue supporting. It makes a huge difference. The podcast for a time wasn't able to be weekly because I had other work commitments, but this has made it possible to deliver a podcast every single week, and in fact, an extra one too, just for supporters, as I mentioned. So if that interests you and you want that extra content, and actually if you would like even more, there's the supporter Discord at the gold tier. There is the Hall of Fame at the end of the podcast in the icon tier. There are loads of perks available. So why not check it out if you haven't done so already by searching Support for Weekly, or following the link in the description of this podcast. If you consider doing so, that would be hugely appreciated. And a big thank you to all those supporters, as I said, keeping the podcast going and keeping Foot Weekly weekly. Right, let's get back into the pod.
Hello and welcome back to Josh's Evo Hour. It'll be more like 15 minutes, and I'll definitely be throwing to Japes and Nep. So it won't just be me, but obviously I do love evolutions. And we had a question from 𝘠𝘠𝗃𝗃, who said, what are we thinking of the current direction Evos seem to be going in? The longer TOTS has gone on, the more and more restrictive the requirements have been, with the open Evos enjoyed over the whole cycle pretty much ground to a halt. Probably more importantly, do we think 𝘵𝚽25 is going to lean more into the minor boost to special cards rather than the build your own adventure? And I think it's a really good question. And I actually had a look at all of the evolutions over the whole of Team of the Season. And we've only had 6 non-league or card type specific Evos since the beginning of TOTS. We had the 3 TOTS plus evolution. So that was the defender, midfielder and attacker, nuclear defender and moment of truth, which were both in the very first week, and then homegrown Team of the Season, which came out last night. All 6 of those have been 100,000 coins. So we haven't had a free open Evo since the beginning of Team of the Season. And it really feels like whatever was going on with evolutions, they've lent massively away from it. And I don't know, can you think of why, Nep?
I genuinely have no idea. Like, Evos weren't perfect as it was, and I've really enjoyed some of the Evos that they've given us that are Team of the Season specific, you know, like running my Arsenal account, now being able to Evo up Gabriel twice, Odegaard once, and a few of the other guys here and there has been really nice. But in terms of like other Evos, I like, did they just decide that they hated it? I genuinely don't know. I don't know why. And it is really interesting to hear that everything that was non-Team of the Season or league specific was 100,000 coins. Because even now, like, for 100,000 coins, you can buy so much off the market. Like, why would you give a small boost to a card for that?
it's a thing we always say, isn't it? Whenever a new evolution comes out and you look at the best players, you go, is this better than the 100,000 coin player in that position? And it's so often not. And so that leads you then to go, okay, well then this is for people who are building a team of, I don't know, Arsenal players or, Luxembourg players. And that all makes sense until you then go, well, we're not getting enough of those evolutions. And when we do get them, they're so restrictive that if you've already evolved a player, it's very rare that they then fit into that next evolution because they have too many playstyles, too many playstyle pluses, or one of their stats is just a little bit too good. I know, Japes, you've still got some Evos that you love that you've not been able to Evo for months.
Yeah, here's my thing with the Evos. What I thought about Evoing with the team of the season protector, which now I regret because guess what I did? I went out and bought 87 𝘂𝘂𝘁𝗍𝘂𝘂. I'm going to own a battle. And guess what came out as an SBC? What do you know? That was demoralizing. But what I did like about that Evo, and I wish I'd used it on my my ultimate birthday Evo 𝘬𝘃𝗲𝗏, because he would have been potentially usable then at that point. The biggest thing that they did with that Evo is they gave it plus chemistry. And so when I look at like all of these Evos now, I'm like, man, if they have plus chemistry, I'm far more willing to drop like 100K on the Evo. No problem. Because that chemistry makes such a big deal. Like such a big deal for squad building at a point where icons are not super present anymore. So it makes fitting some of those players in your squads a little bit harder. But like I go back and I have an 86 Matthias Tel that is still on his Centurion's Evo. And the only play styles he has are silver play styles and finesse plus, not finesse plus, just base play styles, finesse shot, chip shot, power header, and rapid. That's it. I've been dying to Evo this card one more time. 86 rated, 91 pace, 89 shooting, 76 passing, 88 dribbling, 74 physical, not going to be a world beater. And I can't buy 𝘂𝘂 to get him in to another Evo. And I feel like I'm just like giving up.
And I think that's kind of the sentiment that I'm feeling across the board is people are just giving up on their evolution squads that they spent all year building. And it feels like such a waste of what Evos at least were trying to be. Me and Nep have run the Evo to Glory account, the shitters, and like our striker 𝘭𝘪𝘁 has been 80 rated since January and hasn't fit into a single evolution since. Now, he has 2 really good stats. He's got 92 pace and 91 shooting. So for the attacking evolutions, you could maybe make an excuse for why he might not fit into some of those, but he has fit into some of them. And where he's been barred from being able to be put into them is on his play styles. He's already got 10 base play styles. And so when you go to do an evolution and it says max 7 play styles, and for an attacker, usually they give finesse shot, first touch, technical, rapid, power header, one of those. He's already got all of those play styles, but can't go in to the evolution because of this silly arbitrary figure that they've put on the number of play styles you're allowed. The fact that we haven't had an evolution that only gives a playstyle plus, and so doesn't bar players with 10 base playstyles. The fact that we've not had any evolution that's just given 1 playstyle plus and allowed you to put a 2 playstyle plus player in, it feels like they've just given up on allowing people to continually improving their teams. In fact, the best, as you mentioned, Japes, the best paths that we've had so far during Team of the Season is players that go into one of the plus Evos that then go into the plus upgrades, because it's the only way to make players that are anywhere near good enough to fit in people's squads now. And then everything else has been specific to a Team of the Season card, or in my opinion, worse, a champs card. Because what if you don't play champs? What if you've not got a good champs card? Like, not only the TOTS upgrade, I can kind of be okay with because you can go and buy those cards. If you haven't got good reds, as we mentioned earlier, who are you putting into the champions upgrades? Like, I'm kind of lucky in that Nkunku's now fit into all 3 of the champs upgrades, and it makes him really good. But if I didn't have him, I'd be like, I don't know who to put in here. And then I think about the TOTS upgrade series, which we got in the first week of Team of the Season, and it was said, this is going to be a regular series of Evos that you get through Team of the Season. We're in the second to last week. We've had 2 episodes of this series. It's mental that you would tell people this is going to be a thing that you can consistently do, and then only give people 1 more chance after that. Like, maybe we'll get more next week. Maybe we'll get more throughout then whatever comes after Team of the Season. But for an area of the game that was so good in terms of giving people the ability to use different players, I just feel like they've narrowed it down way too much. And I am worried about the direction of travel with evolutions of, are they going to lean into boosting special cards specifically because they can manage that pool of players a lot more next year? Is there another option, Nep, that maybe changes the way they do Evos to allow a little bit more openness in who you can submit?
Oh, I mean, like, I could give you 1,000 different ways.
Maybe just go with your best one, because we've only got a few minutes now.
The best way, like, just give a lot more very small upgrades that are open. Something like 5 composure, and that's it. 5 stamina, and that's it. Something like just finesse shot, not even plus, but just finesse shot. And the only requirement is you don't already have finesse shot. Like, allow people to actually build the players they want in the way that they want. And maybe at the start of the year, you would say, oh, that doesn't, maybe that's not what they do. But again, we're in silly season already. So who cares if somebody can make some random unknown bronze player into like a 93 rated card with exceptional stats, because there's already cards out there that are there. So I'd like to see a lot more like very small one-off upgrades, but even make it like repeatable. I don't know if you could do it like on the same player all the time, because you could just put like a max, for composure, you could say like +5 composure as a requirement, as the requirement, just be like maximum 90 composure. So the most you can get to is 94 if you had somebody with 89 already. That's fine. If they give 5 of those and you can take somebody that's got really terrible composure and just give them an extra 25 composure, who cares?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, we got one taste of that this year, and it was Unleashing Potential, which was just overall max 88, which at the time wasn't too bad. It was probably still behind the power curve, but for people that are running those squads of, a bunch of players from their local team, like if Unleashing Potential was just you had 15 goes at it, it would just have been, I don't know why we got it once. Like, maybe people just didn't do it. Maybe we're in quite a small subset of people that care that much about doing a small upgrade evolution to a team that we're enjoying playing with. But I don't know, I would kind of like more investment into areas of the game that a hardcore minority are playing, rather than everything having to be aimed at the majority. But it's probably not a sound business decision, unfortunately. Just covering off the Evos that we have had this week, we had the TOTS Upgrade Series 2, which was mentioned earlier, which was 1 rating higher than the last one, I believe. And so, if you put somebody into the first one, you're able to put them into the second one. I know a lot of people have done that. Julian Alvarez SBC twice now. We've also had Champs Corner 2. That's the 3rd red evolution that we've had. And so if you got 𝗵𝘃 in that first week, the card you can make him now is just a ridiculous, ridiculous card. And then we had the Serie A TOTS evolution, which we've had every week now for each league. And it's good, but again, with pretty much most of the league-specific evolutions, the selection of players that you can get, because it's max 86 rated, is not great. And usually the best options end up being worse versions of the Team of the Season cards that are in packs again. And then we got Homegrown TOTS last night, which I think was maybe the first step on the path to better evolutions that are a bit more open, and maybe we can start pushing that rating up a little bit higher. This one's max 87. And there are some really nice cards that come out of it. I think the best card is probably that Danny Welbeck flashback. So if you didn't do that SBC, you're kind of screwed there as well. But yeah, like I really hope that Evos are something that gets focused on a lot more post Team of the Season. I don't have any hope for them improving during Team of the Season, but I hope that once we get into silly season, we can kind of have silly Evo season as well, and really reward people that have been building those squads over a long period of time. And so before we round off, as we finish our Evo quarter of an hour there, is there anything else in content that anybody wants to have a quick chat about?
Yeah, let's talk about the greatest objective that they've released all year. Well, not all year, but at least
is it JoshXLS?
Yeah, it's not. It is the draft objective that I like aggressively went out and completed. You know why? Because draft is so fun. It is so fun. I still have like a few more to go, but what they've given you, this is the way I feel like some draft thing like this should be around every season. They've given us such easy ways to get draft tokens. Great. The rewards, you're getting 84x4 for playing 2 matches. For playing 4, you get an 83x10. And for playing just 6 draft matches, you get a guaranteed team of the season. Then you add in, if you're winning those matches, if you win 3, you get a guaranteed team of the season. It's so good. It's so fun. Mind you, I recognize, I am a decent player at this game. This draft generally lends itself towards decent players. It can be very frustrating, if you are not. But the flip side of that is, I ended up trying out a bunch of the Serie A players that I never would have otherwise. I also tried out a bunch of icons that I never would have otherwise. And I got to come up, the gameplay is so much more fun than champs and rivals because you're not playing against a 4-3-2-1 every time. And it means that people are in some ways unfamiliar with other formations, and there's space. The tempo of the game is different. And it's just been, for me, a major breath of fresh air, because it just, in many ways, I feel like the hope of what the gameplay wise could or should be without major levels of broken formations and tactics and all that sort of stuff, you get to see it on in draft. But I suppose that's more gameplay episode-y.
Yeah, maybe it's something we can talk about in the supporter gameplay episode. I will just point out as well, if you're somebody who doesn't win a lot of draft matches when you do play, most of the objectives are completable in offline draft mode. So
there you go.
If you don't have any time and you just want to stick it on amateur and score a goal and then let the game play out, you can absolutely do that. You only miss out on a TOTS guarantee, 87x3 and 86x3, but everything else you can get. I certainly know, Nep, draft objectives is something draft in general is something that you just want a little bit more thought going into, right?
Yeah. I've heard through the grapevine that the guys that created the draft back in 2016 no longer are with EA, and everyone since just hasn't figured out how they've done it to change much, which is why we have everything exactly the same in the draft for years and years and years. But as we've seen with this objective and ones that we had last year a few times and stuff as well, they absolutely can do things in season or milestones or something for draft. And so, yeah, just more of it. This thing that's there right now, and maybe not at the start of the game because it'd be a bit too much, but this sort of thing should just be, Jape said every season. I honestly think every week, every Monday, just a refreshed draft objective. And it will bridge that gap between playing the menus versus playing the game for packs. And once again, once you get those packs, where do you have to go to open them? You have to go to the store. So it's still driving people to the store, even though they earned it through gameplay. It's just a win for everybody, in my opinion.
Yep, I would totally agree. And on that note, we are going to end this week's podcast. Thank you very much, Nep. I'm sure next time you'll be on, Ben will be here, but maybe not.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's always good chatting.
Yeah, it's good to have you. And Japes as well. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Yes, and if you would like to become a supporter of this podcast, every week there is an extra episode that we post on Patreon. If you head on to patreon.com/FootWeeklyPodcast, you can join up there And you also can become a member of the Discord, ask us questions, all that good stuff. I'm sure Ben will come on in a few seconds and tell you more about it. But for now, thank you very much for listening. I've been JoshXLS. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you very much to Josh for hosting. If you'd like more FUT Weekly podcast episodes, then do head over and subscribe via the various different podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. And of course on YouTube. If you're listening there, do drop a like, leave a comment. It definitely helps us out. And of course, if you'd like to help even more, then do support the podcast. You can just search Support FUT Weekly to get an extra episode every single week. It's just £3 a month to support, and there's a free trial for 7 days. Thank you very much to all those supporters keeping the podcast going, and to those icon patrons: Dave B, Hugh J, Darren W, Alistair M, Don P, Rob P, Jeff B, Damon H, Tom B, Adam G, Neil P, Alex M, Jake S, Dan W, Roger D, Lee A, Andrew C, Nishant, Waterman, Dylan H, Adam R, Rob L, Brendan W, Michael K, David G, Jimmy K, Cherry Drank, John D, Michael B, Aditya S, and Joshua K. Plus a special thanks to Luke M, Dave B, Hugh J, Tom M, Darren W, and Pato Foot for advice and production assistance. Before I leave you, just one more thing to add though. Ultimate Team is a bit like life really. It has its many ups and downs. If you're having a few more downs than ups in real life in these more difficult times, then please don't feel that you're alone or need to struggle on without taking action. If you go to thecalmzone.net, there's loads of resources, advice, support, or even just a friendly chat for anyone who needs it. If it sounds like it could help you, then head over to thecalmzone.net. And for now, have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next podcast.